Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the channel or welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be getting, I guess I'm a little rusty because I haven't done this in quite a while. My last video was like 3, 4 months ago, maybe longer. Was it 6 months ago? When I did my video on how we need to finally admit that the Final Destination franchise isn't good. Um, but I have been doing other things, and those other things are making a movie. I produced, wrote, directed my first short horror film, Apples, which will be dropping soon. But we are getting back into the content, into what I love to do, which is run my mouth about horror movies and movies in general. So if you're into that, make sure you hit subscribe, stick around. In this video, I will be discussing 28 years later. And I am a huge fan of this franchise. I love the first two movies. I think 28 Days Later is just amazing. 28 Weeks Later is one of those movies that had to grow on me, but I do really enjoy that. I enjoy it for what it is. Okay. I have a lot of fun with that movie, but I will never understand why we skipped 28 months later. Like that bugs me so bad. That bugs me, but whatever, whatever. We are here. It is 28 years later. Okay. And I'm here for the story, but baby, I want to know what happened to Selena. I want to know what happened to Jim 30 years later. 30 years later, we could at least just pop that in, some kind of post credit scene or something, because you know they're all about the post credit scenes now. But if you are not familiar, let me give you the synopsis for 28 years later. A group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission into the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected but other survivors. And I gotta be honest, I was watching the movie like, baby, where are the wonders? Where are the wonders? Well, we're gonna get all into that. So the movie opens, and I feel like this franchise, the 28 movies, are pretty good for giving you a great opening. Nothing will ever top the 28 weeks later opening. I feel like that is literally one of the greatest horror openings of all time. Like that, a whole opening sequence, chef's kiss. But we got a decent opening to this movie. It didn't suck. It wasn't bad. We have a bunch of adults that are like rushing about, seemingly about this whole rage virus. They're doing all of this stuff. They're rushing the kids into this one room. And you know, I gotta just get the kids out the way because this is grown folk stuff. We don't need the kids in this. So we pretty much see everything from the vantage point in this room with these kids, and they're watching Teletubbies on the TV while the adults are frantic and doing all kind of stuff outside. And I will say what I really liked was the parallel, at least for me, of the kids watching Teletubbies and the monkey in 28 Days Later watching the like violent, destructive media. It felt very brainwashing. Like it felt like we were following that same little path, that same line of the brainwashing with the monkey, and now with the kids watching Teletubbies. It was just giving me brainwashing. Okay. Um, Now I will say the reason the opening didn't 100% work for me is I'm a sucker when it comes to stuff happening to kids in horror. Um, I feel like I used to feel like you know the stakes are real if anybody can get it, anybody meaning the kids. But I feel like at least in the last maybe 15 years, it feels like such a cheap trick to me. Like you know that this is somebody the audience will be automatically sympathetic to. Like, I don't know, it feels like a cheap trick to me to start the movie with that. It just feels like you know people are going to be sympathetic and get a reaction if it's kids, if it's a dog, you know what I mean? So that's just how it felt to me. And but it was a decent opening. You have the one kid who's told to stay in a room, and the little kid pissed me off because he went to open that motherfucking door. And ended up when he opens the door, he over there in the cut. So all the other kids get bum rushed by the infected and all of the kids get killed. And then what I thought was weird, like his mom gets attacked, she's about to turn, tells them to run. He runs to the church and his dad is a priest. Cause I was like, is this his dad? His dad is a priest. his dad tells him to run, but his dad lets the horde of infected come in, and he's all jolly, golly, happy. I guess to get on to the by and by with Calvin and Jesus, and like, cause I'm just like, what are we doing? Like, he was like happy, like as he was getting devoured and changed, he's just over there gleeful, and I'm just like, why they always got to make religious people batshit crazy in these movies? And plus, I just didn't get it. I was just like, why he feel like the infected is like exalted or something. But I don't know. You know, religious people always talking about they just can't wait for the world to end. Child. Like I feel like that's kind of a running theme where religious people be talking about Jesus coming back and the world going to hell. And I just be like, child, I want the world to survive. Like I want to live. But he was happy for the to die. So like, yeah. And then also to do that's why I was like, is this his dad? Because why would I leave my child to fend for themselves in a world like I, it just ain't made no sense. And really, it was a running theme for me throughout the movie of just being like, uh, okay, like it just wasn't 100% like working for me. But honestly, the first, I don't know, 30, maybe even 40. I don't know. I'm not good with trying to calculate time when I watch a movie, child. Maybe like the first till we get to a little switch. When the movie first starts, I was into it. We set up this kid and his dad. Is Jamie is the dad, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was great in Craven the Hunter. That movie wasn't as bad as the movie wasn't that bad. It was bad. It wasn't that bad. Like I enjoyed him in Craven the Hunter. Like I actually like, I got some enjoyment out of Craven the Hunter. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Is him, his son Spike, and I swear every time they said Spike, I was looking for Drusilla. I feel like I've never heard a character called Spike since Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or maybe I'm tripping, but every time they said Spike, I was just thinking about the vampire Spike and Drusilla. We follow them in a mall. They're in this town that has been pretty self-contained from the whole apocalypse, and that's something else in the movie. It's a lot in the movie that I was just like, what? Basically, the whole world just said to hell with these people, which I found very odd. Like the world just said to hell with y'all. Y'all stay over there forever, I guess. Forever with that virus. Even though I'm just like, first of all, just forsaking all those people. Okay. But not okay, but like whatever. As far as the movie wants, to tell us. But I also felt like in all these years, y'all don't think anybody will. What if this virus mutates to the point of like the infected can grow gills and swim? Like, y'all don't think there's no way? What if the virus mutates and becomes airborne? Like, I just feel like, isn't it dangerous to just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna just leave this there to just fester forever? I don't know, whatever, child. But I didn't honestly. I think one thing that really hindered me with this movie was I really just didn't give a damn about the characters. The kid playing Spike, I thought that actor was really great. Like I thought he was really, really good. Um, there was just a disconnect. Like I just wasn't really in. Like I cared about Selena. I cared about the dad and his daughter that they hit her and Jim pick up along the way. Like I didn't care about these people. And granted, in 28 weeks later, I really didn't care about them people either. But I just had a lot of fun with that movie. As far as just the zombie action and everything we got in there. But I just when we first start off, it's pretty much where there's this rite of passage for every teenager to have to go out with a parent, kill some of the infected, see what it's like outside. And this kid, Spike, dad takes him out earlier than normal. Typically, from what I remember in the movie, the kids go out at like teenage, 14 through 16. This kid, Spike, goes out at like 11, 12 years old, and him and his dad going out, the ritual of that, the action we get in that, I was really into it. Again, I was just scratching my head. Something like there's a point where like the whole house collapsed, and I'm just like, there are moments where we just get a actor saying something or a character saying something in passing to like pacify the audience for what just happened. So presumably what it felt like to me. So the dad is just like, oh, it's an old chimney, and so the whole house can crash. Whatever, but things like that wasn't like a big deal. It wasn't like, oh, I hate this movie because that. But I was really into that. We also get these mutated, evolved, infected, which we get the alpha infected, who are like stronger, smarter. And I mean, the rage virus always already made the infected like super fast, super strong, but the alphas are even more so, and they're intelligent. Um, we also got like these bloated infected that was kind of giving the like mother and child in 13 Ghosts, the little like bloated fat baby in 13 Ghosts. I don't know. That's what it was giving me. I actually really like the bloated infected. We got a lot of alpha drama, alpha action. I wanted more of the bloated. Like I was kind of into the bloated ones. But one thing that was kind of odd to me is if something evolves, I would think it makes them better equipped for their environment, better equipped as a predator, et cetera, et cetera. The bloated being so slow moving, like that felt like devolving to me. Like they could move, but I don't know if it was just how it was shot. It didn't feel as fast and as frantic as we know the rage virus to make people, but it wasn't like a big deal at all. So Jimmy and his dad are out in his little rite of passage. And did I say Jimmy and his dad? Spike and his dad are out with his whole rite of passage and all of that. And Spike, he gets off an arrow, he kills like one infected, shoots him in the neck, but he really was fumbling the play. I don't know why I use a sports reference. I don't know nothing about sports, but but they end up getting kind of attacked, surrounded by this horde, and they have to end up running into this house and hiding because Spike really can't hold his own with his dad trying to fight off this horde. So they pretty much spend the rest of the time hiding. Then they head home, right? And in order for them to get to their little town, they go across this like waterway thingy. I'm sure there's like a precise word for it that I can't think of. But basically, when the tide is low, they can walk across. When the tide is high, they cannot. And one thing that didn't make any sense to me, the alphas are super smart. They make it seem like people leave and come back all the time. I mean, this is a normal rite of passage, and people have to go out seemingly for supplies and stuff. Why the alphas never thought to cross this any other time? Like just anytime the tide is low and they can walk across, why haven't they? And also, so in this moment when Spike and his dad are going home, this alpha comes up behind them, and it was weird because it was like the alpha was Dracula and controlling like the bats and the bird. It was like a swarm of birds. I don't know where they came from. Whatever the hell. They like announced the alpha was coming up behind Spike and his dad, and they narrowly get into the compound. But my thing is why the alpha didn't do like the alpha in I Am Legend when they went to storm Will Smith house. Bring a bunch of the infected with you so y'all can storm this compound. So because the alpha didn't get killed, they were able to like stop him, slow him down. Um, but I mean, did I miss something? He didn't die. He didn't die. And because I remember when they were about to like leave, I was like, "Are people gonna just be walking past that alpha out there?" Alpha was just gone. Now, again, I could be misinterpreting something. Maybe he was dead, child, but I just don't understand why we the alphas never tried to cross this waterway when tide was low. But while they're out, Spike ends up discovering he sees like this fire. His dad said, "Oh, it's nothing, whatever." He kind of brushes it off. But when he gets home, he discovered there's this doctor living out there. And one thread in the movie that again, it just didn't work for me. I just went into it. The whole dynamic with the family and a big theme is, and that kicks off this little second half of the story, is Spike's mom is sick. Um, I thought she had some kind of mental illness version of rage virus. But he also ends up when they get to the town to have the ceremony, his dad is embellishing, lying, embellishing the story of Spike out there killing the infected and all that stuff. And yeah, it's a lie, but to me, I'm saying embellishing because it was like a harmful lie. He's just talking up his son, and his son feel like I'm a coward. I didn't do half the stuff my dad said I did, but whatever. The dad is embellishing. No huge character flaw until from drinking. I think it was from drinking that alcohol. Spike goes outside, throws up, gets sick, sees his dad go off with this woman, catches his dad cheating on his mom, and completely loses respect for his dad because first of all, daddy a liar. Now daddy cheating. Now dad don't care about my mama. It's a doctor out there. You don't care if my mama died. And baby full on pulled a knife out on his dad and said, "Get out, get away from me and my mama." And of course, the daddy could beat this little kid, but he just kind of respects what the kid's saying. He leave child. And I was very curious if he ended up with that lady, since the wife left. But what ends up happening is Spike sneaks out to take his mom to that doctor, and I just felt like if security is this raggedy that the 12-year-old can sneak out. How y'all been over here strong arm held up for 30 years from the infected child? I guess that water was just saving them because I was just like, this is shaky damn security. Real shaky. And I've seen other like apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic type stories where you have a compound and somebody be trying to sneak in or sneak out. It don't be that. This was super freaking easy. It was like, yo, y'all, it's a fire. You need to go take care of that fire. Zoom, got on out. Like, what the world? Now, while Spike is out with his mom, which I thought was just so freaking idiotic because, baby, you couldn't even handle yourself out there. And now you got your rinkety mom. But they end up being able to survive. They find the doctor. And, oh, before they find the doctor, they come across this kid, Eric, who's with these soldiers who ended up. Honestly, I'm not clear on what the hell the soldiers was doing because we left the island to fend for itself, but the soldiers was doing something, and I think they ship crashed, and they was in the water, and they was trying not to come to the infected island, but like the current just drags them here, and we saw all the soldiers get killed except for the one kid, Eric, and Eric is with. I would have liked for Eric to live because I would have liked to see because they got cell phones, they got modern world. It's just we're away. This island is secluded. I would have liked to see somebody from the modern world having to adapt to living here, living in that little town. But anyway, Eric goes off with Spike and his mom, and the mom ends up running. She like heard something. She goes on this bus, which I was like, "Why the hell we investigating something when we out here, child? It's infected." Like but she gets on this bus. There's a pregnant, infected woman giving birth, and I feel like Eric ain't deserve to die. I liked Eric. I wanted Eric to stay around, and I was on Eric's side because remember that infected zombie baby of Mackay Pfeiffer's in Dawn of the Dead. I was like, baby, I'm not. That's an infected that just had that baby. But I was also thrown off because I was like, so the infected have sex and breed? Because the rage virus, as I know it, they just be like kind of mindless, crazed, raged up, like they hunching. Like that threw me off. I was just like, and when we saw a pregnant infected, I was thrown off. I was like, did she get infected while she was pregnant? Like I was so thrown off seeing the pregnant. But anyway, I was also confused. Like the infected can give birth to a non-infected baby because I could have sworn the baby gets everything the mom gets through the umbilical cord. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a I don't know. But this was another example of the movie having a character just give us a little throwaway line to kind of, give to the audience about something that presumably the filmmakers knew the audience would be scratching their head at. When they get to the doctor, he's like, "Oh, the magic of placenta." And I'm just like, "Okay, like, I don't know nothing about placenta. I know women eat it sometimes. It's supposed to be like good for you or whatever. But I'll let that fly. But that would fly more for me if the doctor found the baby. The little 12-year-old kid trying to tell Eric the baby's okay, baby. How you know that? Like, how does the 12-year-old and his mama, who's out of her mind. How y'all know the like? I can buy the doctor saying that, but random people finding. First of all, before the baby comes out, why are we helping the infected? Which I like thematically, what the movie was saying in that moment when the mom puts her hands up, then the infected puts the hands up, and we help. Thematically, I like all of that. But just in the story with these characters, I was with Eric. Kill this motherfucking baby. I've never been so gleeful to kill a baby. Like, I'm not gonna play. And then also, how do we know the baby isn't like asymptomatic? Is that what they call it? Where like the baby doesn't like the mom in 28 weeks later, where like you're infected, but I think it's called asymptomatic. Like you don't show rage virus signs, but if your saliva or anything gets on someone, they're like you're a carrier. I think that's what it is. You're a carrier. Like, how do we know that's not what's going on with the baby? Especially because Spike never goes home, but he drops the baby off with a note. Baby, the way we would have had to burn that baby at the stake if I was running that town because no, I don't know. We don't know. I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. But like I said, thematically, I like what the movie was going with that. Just that scene. And then I was like, Eric gets killed because and I knew Daddy wouldn't be somewhere around. The Jason Momoa big ass alpha daddy zombie come busting up in the place, really trying to get his child. Tries I can't speak. Tries twice. And I was very trying to figure out, do he want to eat the baby? Or does he want the baby? Like want his child? I couldn't quite figure it out because he was just raging. He was raging. But the Dr. Kelson, played by Ryan. I can't hardly say nothing today, child. Ralph Phineas. I feel like I always say his name wrong. Notably, love him in Red Dragon. He was just in the Menu, Conclave, Clash of the Titans. Put some respect on that movie, okay? Put some respect on Clash of the Titans. But anyway, I do like a lot of the stuff surrounding the Doctor, where like he doesn't kill the infected. He kind of just subdues them. He moves around in a way to not really have to come face to face with them and have a confrontation with them. It came off to me like he's a doctor. He has this value for life and sees the infected as like if you were to have sick patients, like you wouldn't just kill them. But stuff just started getting real ridiculous for me because I was sitting here like, yeah, I'm gonna build a tower of human skulls because that's so normal. And then in Spike little letter, he go to write. He's like, Dad, doctor, the doctor isn't insane. He's a kind man. And I'm just like, yeah, because building a freaking tower of human skulls sends the signal that I'm a kind man. Like, how the hell were we not supposed to think this man was crazy? It's just a lot with this. I was just like, what the hell? Like, for why are we doing this? Like, what are we doing? It just the Tower of Skulls. It looks cool, but it just ain't make no damn sense for me in the movie. And then what also ain't make no sense is the doctor's like, well, I ain't got no diagnostic equipment, you know what I'm saying? But from this exam, because she got cancer and it done metastasized and spread and all kind of stuff. And I'm saying, like, so cancer make you mentally ill? Because I literally thought because this movie is all about, or not all about, but it's about how the rage virus has mutated over 30 years. I thought the mom had some form of the rage virus because she was throwing, didn't she throw stuff? She was going crazy. She was screaming. She was, yeah. The mom was, I was like, this must be some form of mental illness, like brought on by the rage. Cancer? Cancer made her do all that? I don't know, child. Again, the hell do I know? But it just ain't made no sense to me. But whatever. So he ends up euthanizing the mom. It's what she wants. She gets to say goodbye to her kid. And the doctor is talking about, we all die and you're lucky, the type of death to have like a peaceful death. So the kid ends up taking the baby back to the community, which how the hell the baby survived, child? We ain't had no breast milk for we ain't had no breast milk for the baby. We were giving the baby water. I could have sworn you ain't supposed to give babies water. I could have sworn they can't digest it. I could have sworn they gotta have milk, child. But whatever. because I feel like it's a little mutated baby. And that's why it's just surviving, child. It's just surviving. It's just surviving. But he ends up dropping the baby off, leaving a note. Again, I'm wondering about security because why nobody in the bird tower ain't see the little kid pop on up or whatever the hell. I don't know, child. I don't know. Um, so Spike is out on his I Am Legend ish last man on earth, just trekking around because I guess this is the equivalent of your child going away to college and trying to see the world. He was like, "Nah, child, I want to come back. I want to go see the world because, like, f you, dad, you a liar, you a cheater." And he ends up there. Spike is cooking some fish, just chilling. And a bunch of infected come. He's able to kill one, but it's a lot of infected, and he ends up having to run. And presumably, he's about to get killed when this quirky group pops up. Y'all, when I tell y'all, these mofos hopped out like 90s era Power Rangers. Like, you know how the Power Rangers like just pop out and like, you know what I was expecting? You know how you watch the show and the characters jump and it pauses mid-air? It's like a freeze frame and like something pop across the screen in words. That's literally what I thought was about to happen. These mofos popped out halfway looking like a 90s era pimp with track suits and gold chains, halfway looking like Power Rangers. I was just like, what the fuck is this? Just like this quirky group led by Jimmy. And presumably, this is the group responsible for like the hung infected that Spike and his dad had found. And this introduction was of this group was interesting to me because the whole time I'm watching the movie, I think his name was Jamie. I thought Spike's dad was the kid we followed at the top of the movie. I was dead wrong. No, this kid here, because they close in on the necklace. And I was like, the necklace the crazed out priest dad gave him. So the final shift in tone with this ending, it was abrupt, it was jarring, and I was like, what the but honestly, I was like, what the in a good way, because I was pretty bored throughout this movie. I'm so sorry. And I perked up at this moment. Well, really, I perked up when Spike was out on his I Am Legend ish. I don't know why I was just kind of into the I Am Legend tour, but I perked up in this moment. Like it feels very different. It feels like I want to say like a tacked on ending, and I say tacked on because it feels nothing like the rest of the movie. But you know what? To me, it's not even that jarring from the rest of the movie because the whole movie is very fucking jarring. The score of the movie felt weird. It made scenes feel off to me. I was like, what is we going for with this music? Um, I was very bored watching this movie. And y'all know, I feel like that is the most egregious thing for a movie to be. It's boring. Um, there was this weird, and at first I was like, is something wrong with like the video? Like, is something? It was this weird B-roll footage that kept playing through the movie, flashing on the screen. It was very weird. That's why I was like, that ending was not out of the it wasn't out of the norm for the movie jarring. I thought the whole movie was very jarring with the weird B-roll stuff that was flashing on the screen, with the weird score and music. And there maybe was like 2% of the time where the little B-roll images flashing, I could kind of connect the dots and be like, okay, I get what this is supposed to mean. But honestly, 98% of the time, I was just like, what is this? I liked the commentary that the movie was going for with humanity and death and grief and but I really didn't like this movie. It felt to me like the writer wanted to do a lot, say a lot, and didn't nail any of it. The movie does feel very layered emotionally, but I was just so bored. Didn't give a I just was like, I don't care about this little boy and his mama and this little adventure they going on. I just didn't care. I wasn't invested. I was dizzy. I got a neck injury. I had whiplash. The editing style, the quick cuts, the jump cuts, it was killing me, man. But this is a two part. Um, and I feel like I I really feel hyped for part two. I really feel like I'll be way more into part two because honestly, I would much rather follow Jimmy and his crew than this little town and crew that we follow with it just for me. But I feel like this part one was more so still kind of showing the beauty of humanity in the midst of this. I think part two is going to more so be about the horror of like inhumanity in this time. We're going to get like horror Teletubby Rangers that well, I feel like it's going to explore more the dark side of what this world turns humans into or brings out of humans, especially given the fact that these kids grew up in this world with, like I said, that whole introduction was kind of giving me the brainwashing with the monkey. Like that's their net influence of the world before having to come to this. Um, I don't hate a tonal shift in movies. For me, honestly, it's a case by case basis. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Honestly, the B-roll flashing and jarring music, like all of that was way more jarring for me than any of the tonal shifts. Um, this movie just didn't work for me. I really don't want to hear any of the you just didn't get it. I hate that criticism so bad when people say they didn't like a movie. Um, because I feel like for me personally, a filmmaker should give the audience everything they need to enjoy the movie. That's just how I feel. And of course, are there moments in movies? Are there movies where you rewatch and you be like, "Oh, I didn't realize this the first time." Yes, of course. There are a lot of movies that are very layered, very nuanced, but ultimately you should enjoy the movie even if you don't necessarily connect every dot when you first watch it. I shouldn't have to research the movie when it's over to enjoy it. That's the audience I am. That's how I feel. Because even if something goes over my head, I should be able to be entertained. I feel like ultimately a movie should always entertain. Child, I done seen Christopher Nolan's Tenet probably 6, 7 times. I can tell what the hell that movie is about, but I love that movie. I have a really good time. I'm very entertained. I'm enjoying it. I don't know what the hell going on, and I couldn't explain it to nobody. I literally cannot tell you what that movie is about. Like I literally couldn't give you a synopsis. Like I couldn't. And I remember being how old was I? 10, 11, 12, trying to explain 12 Monkeys to my mama because she didn't get it, but she liked the movie. Like, I don't like the whole you didn't get it. I should still be able to enjoy the movie though. Like, it should still entertain me. And I was just so bored, honestly. Like I said, it started off, I won't even say it started off strong because I didn't think it did, but it started off promising. We opened with the little opening scene. I was just like, what the hell? Why daddy gonna do that? Why he wanna go off? But then after that little opening, we 30 years later going to do this ritual. Go like I was into. I was like, okay, okay, but it was just the B-roll weird flashing on the screen, the music. Then we changed to the kid on this adventure with the mom that I really just didn't give a ish about. Like I was legitimately just bored the whole time. I think that 28 years later was actually a bold swing, an ambitious swing. And it got some things right, but ultimately it was a swing and miss for me personally. I ended up giving this movie a 1.5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. And that feels so harsh, but I feel like 28 years later was giving coming of age drama in zombie rage virus infected post apocalyptic world. It just stylistically didn't work for me. Narratively, it didn't work for me. Character wise, it didn't work for me. Um, can I just get a follow up with Selena and Jim? Like, I guess I won't harp on that because I am excited to follow um Jimmy and his cult clan weird Power Ranger group. I am excited to follow them. But let me know, how did you feel about 28 years later? Did you agree or disagree with my opinion? And do you feel like it was egregious that we didn't get a 28 months later? Because hello, missed opportunity. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.